I'm going to give you an overview of the catalog section of the website today. The catalog portion of Merchant Ops is where you can basically maintain the master catalog of product data that you store within your company. And that's really centered around the product area of the website. So think of this as the place that you would enter information about a product, specifically like a key that represents the internal identifier inside your system. That could be the key you use inside your ERP, the key you use inside of a PIM, for example, or it could be from an e-commerce system, depending on the size, but likely it's in your ERP system. A name, a brand, and a vendor, and a product type. And those are generally the base information that we try to capture when a product is added. Now, just briefly on a product type. Product types you can think of as the kind of product you're dealing with, and they're important because they are a grouping of attributes. So, for example, if you think about coolers, you would have information about coolers you want to know, like the number of cans it could support internally, its dimensions, maybe how long it can keep drinks cold, the material it's made from, if it's soft or hard, etc. And for running shoes, as an example, you might want to know the heel to toe drop, the kind of cushioning on it, whether it's a neutral shoe or a stability shoe, all those kinds of things. And so product types are set up ahead of time along with the attributes, which we'll talk about in a minute. But when you work with the system, you have the ability to add products to the system in many different ways. One, you can mainly add a product like I just mentioned here, which is capture the base information, and then you can tell it to go look in the lakehouse, which we've talked about previously, where you may have uploaded content from PDFs and Excel files from the brands and manufacturers. You can ask it to go look and find the product display page on the brand's website and capture information from there. And finally, you can ask it to enrich the product information at the end of the day. The other way you can add products is through a CSV upload, and we provide a template right here that you can download that shows how you can enter the key, the name, the optional brand, the vendor, and the product type. The product type's critical in that. So this is a way to just mass do what you do on the manual tab. And finally, there's a URL way to do that, where you can actually just enter the product key, put in the product page URL from the brand, for example, and then the product type, which is the attributes you want to capture about it. And then we'll go out and actually scrape it. And this is a great way to get information about a product that has been, published already by the brand. And maybe you're just starting to sell and you want to get it attributed quickly and published on your site. The final one, crawl, I'm not going to talk about today. That's kind of an upcoming future enhancement. But that's really the product side of it. And then when you look at a product, products work on the concept of a version. And this is a really important concept. Rather than you being able to edit an existing version, you just need to create a new one. So for example, if you click new, it will take that version's information and allow you to come in and then change it. Anything in the description, you can change the features, you can change attributes about that product, whatever's necessary. And when you save it, it will actually go out and create a new version. And that's just to maintain the history behind it. You can see here, there's also kind of a label that goes with these to kind of indicate how that particular version was created. If it's something you enter through the UI, it's merchant input. If it's something that the system finds on the brand's website, we'll label it the brand site. And if it's something that we've generated based on input from the brand site, from the merchant input, or even the lakehouse, it'll be labeled AI generated so you can see the difference. And then we provide a comparison feature so you can see between versions how they've changed. We support up to 3 side by side, and you can change those as your version history grows. So that's a little bit about the products. And just to touch on the dictionary, the attribute dictionary and the product types. So for the attribute dictionary, this is, again, where you would set up, as you start to work with Merchant Ops, the list of attributes you want to capture about products. Attributes are important generally on e-commerce sites because they allow you to filter and facet based on key values. And so we're all familiar with like the color size kind of filtering, but you can filter by brand, you could filter by material, you could filter by activity, et cetera. So it's important, I think, as a distributor or a retailer that you build your list of attributes that you want to standardize on. And in this case, you can also create values if you want to standardize on those as well for the attributes. In other words, it will also help your merchandisers to not just proliferate, very similar values, but standardize on them, which will make your search better at the end of the day. Once your attributes are set up, then you can create what are known as product types. Product types are essentially the type of product. They're a group of attributes that collectively, represent a product. So, for example, one product type might be running shoes. One product type could be coolers. One product type could be archery cases, avalanche packs, etc. And again, this is just a good way to have consistency across the products. That makes it easier for your customers to evaluate, products side by side when they can compare the different attributes that you capture about them. And that's really it for the catalog overview today. Think of the catalog as your master catalog. It's really, where you're going to keep the master copy of the information. You'll be able to export that data as it gets enriched out using our export mapping facility that will export that out to an Excel file. You can then upload into whatever system you have on the back end, PIM or e-commerce website or ERP, wherever you need to ingest that data into.